Welcome, everybody. It seems that the Sunbeamers are headed back to school. I can see some of them have joined. So, Jai Hind, welcome. Uh, Today we have Amardeep's session, and I really want to thank him, for the time he takes out for us. It's really, it's a tough thing to continue to do this for so long, and he continues to do it. And we also, of course, really, really grateful for the work that he's done because we're all learning so much from it. So thank you, Amardeep, for both those things. And let me just start with a very, very brief introduction to Amardeep. In case somebody is not aware, Amardeep gave up his, illustrious corporate career of 25 plus years and d- decided to pursue the path of oneness on a full-time basis. He wrote a couple of books on lost heritage in Pakistan, and then he's put together this docu-series on Guru Nanak's travels, and he's currently working on another docu-series on the Indic saints. So we're really grateful for the work that Amardeep is doing. And the best part about it is it's available free for people to see on YouTube, which I think is a huge, huge thing. So today is episode 16. So thank you, Amardeep, and over to you.
Thanks to Jeev, and thanks to all the faculty members and as well as the students who keep joining. Jagjeev, just on a lighter side, nothing so illustrious about that career. This is far more fulfilling. Right? So that was just a job. It's just a means to an end. Okay, so today's the 16th episode. So by the time we complete in the next 45-50 minutes this session, we would have hit the 2/3 of the docu-series completed, right? So we still have 1/3 to go. But I more than me, I also applaud the all of you at the good schools that you all have remained committed. I mean, to remain committed for now close to 15 months, because initially we were doing 2 episodes in a month. So it's quite a feat, right? So thanks a lot. Okay, so today's episode, if I recall, it's about 45 minutes. I don't remember the time exactly. 51. Okay, all right. And this is going to take. So last episode, if you recall, we entered back from Sri Lanka into India, right? And now we are actually somewhere in the center India. So South India is completed, and we have now entered Central India. And Central India, the journey is going to continue from very important sites. One is at the river Narmada, on the banks of river Narmada. So we've come close to Gujarat, right? And which is we've got this place called Bharuch, right? And the Somnath Temple. So we're going to start from there. Look for as you see the series, look out for the metaphoric meanings. I mean, this whole series is about understanding deeper metaphoric meanings in every tradition that we are intertwining, right? So what is the Somnath metaphorically representing, right? And then how does the Guru Nanak's message, for instance, when we talked about the Ram Setu bridge, the Dhanush Kodi at between Sri Lanka and Rameshwaram, the typical narrative is I think, a very superficial narrative which talks about two armies going on a war. And last time I explained how actually the metaphoric meaning is the monkey mind and building a bridge from negativity to positivity. So look for those messages again out here as we keep moving forward, right? But at the end of the day, that's what stays on. It's not these shallow narratives are I think are more to keep the mind just engrossed in the worldly kind of narratives, right? So look for the world deeper narratives that will come back. Okay, so the key messages, let me summarize right at the beginning, and then we can start the episode and I'll take questions at the end, right? There are 5 or 6 messages I want to leave out here. The episode is going to open with one verse of Guru Nanak, Pavan Guru Pani Pita, Pavan Guru Pani Pit Jata, Udar Sanjogi Dharti Mata. Now, here in this verse, Guru Nanak is actually emphasizing on respect for nature. Now, he's through this verse, I mean, he's expressing him being a environmentalist, right? An advocacy of sustaining the natural resources. And what he's trying to say that as air is vital for our physical being, without air we can't survive. It's equated to a teacher. So we are in a school environment out here. There are a lot of your teachers, who are actually guiding you through. And so teachers are very important for us, our existence, because they give us knowledge, right? So it's the basic foundational fulcrum of our later on things that we do. So it's the most fundamental thing. So he's equating air to being our teacher. Water, which is a sustainer of life, is compared to a father who's a provider, right? And similarly, earth, which bestows nourishment because crops grow on it, what we eat grows on it, right? We live on it. It's likened, it's compared to the womb of a mother, right? Which actually the qualities of a mother are basically to nurture, right? To nurture the entire creation. So that's where he's behaving. I mean, he's giving the message, the advocacy of being an environmentalist. Okay. Now from here, the episode opens with Guru Nanak actually uh, in Bang, and a message out here that will come is about his dialogue with a lady saint, right? A lady saint, a sannyasi at Bharuch. And I know what I'm going to share out here. Some of you may find it hard to digest, but just listen to it. And some of you, especially the youth, for them, it might be a bit of a conflicting message. But as we grow in life, and especially in our Indian traditions, across all faiths, what comes about is a concept known as Jivan Mukat, right? It's in English, it translates as living dead, right? Now, I know we all see death as a very negative aspect, right? But we all are fearful of death. But these Indic saints, the saints of our Indian traditions across various faiths, are not shying from death. Actually, for them, the main challenge is, or the main disappointment is that when one dies spiritually, when your consciousness dies, right? So I think the key message out here, when he's having a dialogue with that sannyasin is he's trying to give the concept of uh, to how to attune your mind to the omnipresence, the creation, by killing your desires. So it's always about killing your desires. Now, desires are also important to survive in this world, as much as ego is important to a certain extent. But when ego overtakes the entire existence, then it's taken to the hermit is that kill your desires, keep desires that are required for uh, benefit of society, benefit of the entire creation, but just a self-sustaining desire, which is what the problem in today's world is, because everyone is me and mine, and we've forgotten the profound embrace of the other also, because other is also a part of us, right? So I think that's the key message that's giving out there. Then the journey continues. Um, we will at Ujjain, at Bharuch itself, you'll find me sitting in a boat in the Narmada River, and I'm reflecting, and the verse of Guru Nanak that resonates to be out here is that he at one point compares, uh, and this is more for the teacher fraternity, because we are talking here as students and teachers. He's comparing wisdom to a boat. The wisdom that your teacher imparts, the wisdom in spirituality, is a boat. The passenger is sitting in the boat of wisdom, and when the adversity, when the challenges of life come by, right, in the river, when the waves come and hit the boat, the wisdom protects the boat, which keeps it afloat, right, and makes you cross the worldly ocean, the worldly river, which is filled with challenges. And that's the key messages in the metaphoric form that he's delivering out here. We then move into this place in Saurashtra itself, which is Gujarat area, which is very famous in the Hindu tradition for it's known as Girnar, the Girnar Hills, right? And on the Girnar Hills are sites of various traditions, the Jains, the Hindu shrines, the Vaishnavites, the Shaivites, and Guru Nanak also went there. And at that time, there were a lot of this tradition of the Nath yogis that we were talking about, which is now finished from the Indian subcontinent, the ones who would get their ears split and they should be known as Kanfatta yogis. And he has a dialogue with them. I'm not going to get into the dialogues, you'll hear that. But the key thing out here is how the beauty of a saint like him is that he's so vast in his understanding that he's comparing. So he's written every verse of his uh, in rags, in musicology, in Indian musicology. There are over 37 of his rags in which he's given his verses. Out here, he sings one verse of his, which starts with the word Sorat Sada Suhavani, right? And Sorat is a rag. It's an Indian rag, and he's comparing the music of Sorat with the state of our soul and how when it transgresses, I mean, it goes beyond the conflicting situations that our mind always takes us into, how that becomes a soothing life, right? So he's taking musicology of a pure rag of the Indian musical tradition, which you can sing in a very classical form. If you go into a classical musical rendition, uh, the Sorat Rag can be sung in very, very musical, classical, extreme forms. But here he's comparing the beauty of Sorat to that of the human soul, right? So the only point that I want to make out here is that these saints were quite knowledge. As they use the word in English, this is polymaths. Polymaths are basically people who have and understanding and they can talk and they can bring in knowledge from different disciples. Otherwise, as humans, we tend to be very fixated in what we have excelled in, right? Polymaths are people who actually have the ability to bring in knowledge and wisdom from all directions. And that's what he is demonstrating out here through the knowledge of musicology. We will then move on to Ujjain. Now, Ujjain is a very important Shaivite shrine, the Mahakaleshwar temple on the banks of the Shipra River. Now, you will find out here, I am showing the Mahakaleshwar site, which is very important and it's a very prehistoric shrine, right? So that's where the people would come. But there was a huge commune of the Nath yogis, the split ear ascetics, who used to stay at the Bhartari Nath yogi caves, which is approximately about 10 kilometers from the Mahakatal lane, right? Now, Guru Nanak, I mean, all these spiritual places, people of diverse traditions would congregate, right? And Guru Nanak was always, his purpose was always to have dialogues. He was not actually, the reason why he was going to these places is not because he was on a spiritual tirath, as they say out here, right? Nanak's message is very clear that the tirath has to be inside your mind. When you dip into the thoughts of your mind, physical pilgrimages have no values in his philosophy or in any of the Bhakti tradition philosophies of Kabirji or Faridji and all. But yet, he's making an effort to go to these places. Why? Because that's where the society would gather. And that's why he wants to have dialogues. That's why he wants to actually speak to people, right? So it's like me, if I've actually done this body of work, if I have to speak to students, I have to come into a platform like this. Only then can I reach out to students. I have to go to schools, I have to go to colleges. That doesn't mean that I'm trying to be a student of engineering or of management once again at this age of my life, right? So that's the reason why he's going to these places. And when he goes to the temple at Ujjain, from there his dialogues take him to the followers of the Bhartari Nath Jogi, who used to live in the caves about 10 to 15 kilometers from the Mahakaleshwar temple. And the dialogues that he has out here are anchored around futility, the non-required practices of ritualistic bathing, because people would come to Jain take a dip in the holy Shipra river, right? Now, Guru Nanak is simply saying that that bathing, external bathing, is of no use if you can't bathe and cleanse the thoughts in your mind, right? It's like Kabir who says, if you think by bathing externally at these sites, you can achieve spirituality or you can achieve salvation. I mean, the concept of salvation is very different in the minds of these saints. But if you can achieve that higher state of living, then you know what? A frog is much better than you because a frog is always bathing inside a river. So it's a very rationalistic way in which they're putting this forward. The second thing that he gives a message there is at Ujjain is about ritualistic fasting. All right. Now, the problem today is that many of the people in my own tradition, which is in my own faith, might question the practice of fasting using these verses, right? But actually, the intent has to be understood, right? I am a very strong advocate of fasting. I've solved a lot of diseases in my life, autoimmune diseases, and so on and so forth, through simple process of fasting, right? I'm a rejuvenated person. I think there's a merit in fasting. But when that fasting becomes anchored in a linked to a faith, to say that it is a means to get you something in terms of a spiritual salvation, I think that's the piece that all these saints are questioning, right? Now we've just got over the long period of fasting yesterday, that the period in the Indian tradition, which those who have followed the fasting. But keep in mind that has been religiously linked to a religious practice. And what these saints are saying is that when you link it to a particular religion or a religious practice, you lose the essence of what you're trying to achieve. Physically, it's a great practice to do. Mentally, it's a great practice to do. It is good for living, but because it has been tied to a religion, sometimes people miss the point, right? So for salvation in terms of your spirituality, the means and methodologies are different. Fasting is not going to get you there, right? So I think that's the message that he's trying to give out here. Um, the and then I'm going to actually end by saying that he uh, episode will end at complex, right? So there's a very profound message at the Chittorgarh fort complex that we're showing the diversity of different faiths that exist in that Rajasthan, in the Chittorgarh fort complex. And when Guru Nanak goes there, I think the only reason why he went there was also because diversity of faiths were intertwining inside the Chittorgarh complex, and he was going to have dialogues with them. And the episode ends with basically the message that for an harmonious existence, um, one needs to actually look at um uh, he's questioning as to what can be done when the negativity has actually made us forget the goodness around us, right? So how do we trade in the merchandise which is of goodness, and we become a trader which is trading in goodness and not in demerits, and that's where it's going to actually end, right? So if any questions, I'm happy to take them at this point. I know I've given a lot, but after this you can just start the episode, and I'll be here at the end of 50 minutes to take any questions, if that's okay. Over
You
to you,
want to
Vijay.
run right through, or you want to stop in the middle, Amardeep?
No, there's no point. There's no point stopping now because I've just summarized the whole thing.
Okay, okay, okay,
I mean,
Manisha, just
I'm happy to take questions at the end of it.
right.
If there are any questions right now, I'm happy to take. But yeah, but go ahead.
Gyan Bohit, Boat of Wisdom, presents Guru Nanak's compelling paradigms in the land of Bhrigu to deal with unfavorable situations through practical solutions. It also encompasses the memories of saints who had overlaying viewpoints as Guru Nanak.
गुरु महाराज ने ये समझाया इस संसार को कि भाई आप सब मिलके अच्छे मार्ग पकड़े, सत्य के ऊपर चले।
एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निर्भय निर्वैर अकाल मूरत अजूनी सबं गुर प्रसाद
पावण गुरु पाणी पित जाता ओदर संजोगी धरती माता रैन दिन सदोय दाई दाया जग खेले खिलाई है।
Guru Nanak emphasized the importance of sustaining natural resources. As an environmentalist, he compared human relationships with elements of nature. For example, air, vital for our physical being, is equated with a teacher who is important for our spiritual existence. Water, a sustainer of life, is compared to a father who is a provider. Similarly, as earth bestows nourishment, it is likened to the womb of a mother which nurtures. From Daulatabad, Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana travelled northwards to Bharuch, Prabhas Patan, Junagadh, Ahmedabad, Ujjain and reached Chittorgarh. From Daulatabad, they first travelled to the city of Bharuch. In trailing Guru Nanak's footsteps, we travel from Daulatabad to Bharuch. Bharuch is a city in the present-day Indian state of Gujarat. It is an ancient town situated in the region where the Narmada River merges with the Arabian Sea. Bharuch was a shipbuilding center and an important seaport for trade, dating back to the 6th century BC. Narmada is one of the 7 holy rivers of the Indian subcontinent, the other 6 being the Ganga, Yamuna, Sindhu, Godavari, Kaveri, and the extinct Saraswati. Hindus believe that a dip in any one of these 7 rivers washes away one's sins. Along the banks of the river Narmada, we first visit the Bhrigu Rishi temple, an ancient site dedicated to Bhrigu Rishi, from whom the city of Bharuch gets its name, is known to be one of the Sapt Rishis, the 7 sages of primeval India. Bhrigu Rishi is known for his manuscripts on Brahma Chinta Parnali, which include the wisdom of 5 supreme sciences, predictive astrology being one of these sciences. Bhrigu Rishi is famous for his text, Bhrigu Samhita.
भरूच का नाम पहले भृगु कच्छ था, उसके बाद पड़ा भरूच। भृगु ऋषि ने खुद भरूच की स्थापना किया था। उन्हें भृगु संहिता लिखी थी भरूच में।
As Bharuch was an important center of Hindu pilgrimage, Guru Nanak visited the city to engage with spiritualists. On the banks of the river Narmada, Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana were approached by a sannyasin, a lady hermit, who sought advice on how to attune her mind with the divinity of the omnipresent. In reply, Guru Nanak sang,
नामन मरना कारज होए, मन बस दूता दुरमत धोए, मन माने गुर तेक होए, निर्गुण राम गुण वस होए, आप निवार विचारे सोए, आप निवार विचारे सोए, नामन मरना कारज होए.
even though peace is desired universally, yet unrest is witnessed all around. The mind controls human emotions. When identification with the mind is overcome, emotions emerging from it are dissolved. What then remains is purity of thought. Guru Nanak says, where there is purity of thoughts and intentions, there is peace. Tara Singh Narottam in his book Gur Tirath Sangrah has written in 1884 that a site by the name of Nanak Wadi was established by the Udasin community to commemorate Guru Nanak's visit to Bharuch. Mahant Narbada Das was a well-known Udasin saint of this shrine. This site was located near the present Bharuch railway station. It ceased to exist after the British government acquired the land in the 18th century. In 1988, Gurdwara Chadar Sahib was built on the banks of the river Narmada by the Sikh community to commemorate Guru Nanak's visit.
Bharuch, on the banks of river Narmada, is a settlement since the times of antiquity. This Gurdwara is a memory of Guru Nanak's visit to this town.
According to the narrative written on the information board at this site, Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana reached the banks of the river Narmada in the night. When the boatmen refused to ferry them in the dark, Guru Nanak spread a sheet on the river on which they floated to cross the river. This incident does not find mention in the earliest Janam Sakhi texts. During our travels on Guru Nanak's footsteps, we have come across many narratives which seem to have been created to attract naive masses. Personally, when I read Guru Nanak's verses, they give me insight and strength to deal with unfavorable situations by providing practical solutions. I find that his words are a touchstone which validate his pragmatic philosophy. Speaking metaphorically, Guru Nanak compares wisdom to a boat, which is a mode for passengers to traverse the river of adversity.
गुर पौड़ी बेड़ी गुरु गुर तुलहार नाओ गुर सुर सागर बहथो गुर तीरथ दरियाओ.
From Bharuch, Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana took a boat on the Narmada River, and sailing through the Arabian Sea, they reached Prabhaspatan. Trailing in Guru Nanak's footsteps, from Bharuch, we travel by road to Prabhaspatan. The port city of Prabhaspatan has been famous for shipbuilding for centuries. It is also known as Somnath Patan, named after the historic Somnath Temple.
The town of Prabhas was a port when Guru Nanak visited the Somnath Temple, which is attributed to Som, the moon, Shiva, and the confluence of the three rivers.
We visit the Somnath Temple, the famous Hindu pilgrimage center. This site is associated with the belief that when the luminosity of the moon waned to a point of extinction, it was energized by Shiva, such that it transitioned through the phases of crescent moon, half moon, and finally it regained its brightness as a full moon. In Indic traditions, the moon represents the human mind, and hence its waning and waxing states are a reflection of the changing states of human emotions. The Somnath Temple is one of the 12 main Jyotirlinga sites across India, representing different manifestations of Shiva. At Prabhaspatan, the Triveni Ghat overlooks the Triveni Sangam, a confluence at the Arabian Sea of the three rivers, Hiran, Kapila, and the mythical non-existent Saraswati. In the Hindu tradition, this confluence is believed to be sacred as these rivers flow into their ultimate destination, the sea, which symbolizes the convergence of birth, life, and death. People visit this site to perform religious rituals and to bathe so as to wash away their sins. At one of the temples in Prabhaspatan, I saw a dog sitting at the steps of a temple with its gaze focused on the sanctum sanctorum. To the human, the characteristics of a dog express some important traits such as loyalty and unconditional love for one's master. The sitting dog brought to mind a verse of Guru Nanak, in which he uses the metaphor of a dog to remind us that dedication and loyalty to Omnipresent is displayed by keeping daily guard against actions which over time become ritualistic practices.
भगतहीन नानक जय होएगा ताखस में नाओ ना आई।
From Prabhas Patan, Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana travelled by foot to Junagadh. Trailing in Guru Nanak's footsteps, from Prabhas Patan, we travelled to Junagadh.
Junagadh, the city in the foothills of Girnar Hills, has many old mosques, Buddhist caves, Jain and Hindu temples, which reveal of its rich religious and cultural past.
Girnar is home to one of the ancient rocks upon which is inscribed edicts propagating the Buddha's Dharma, the path of righteousness, peace, and harmony. This edict was installed by Emperor Ashoka in 250 BC after he witnessed a colossal loss of human lives in the Battle of Kalinga and thereafter adopted Buddhism. He dedicated his life to spreading Lord Buddha's message of ahimsa and installed such rock edicts in prominent locations across present-day Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. In the vicinity of the Uparkot Fort, the influence of monastic Buddhist and Jain traditions are visible in the remains of the 1st century caves, which were carved out of rocks and had served as residential quarters for the monks. During Guru Nanak's visit, this region was known as Sorat Desh, named after Queen Sorat, one of the 7 fabled heroic women of Sindh. She is known for sacrificing her life as a testament for her love for her husband, King Rai Diach of Junagadh. It is believed that in the Indian musical system, the musical measure of Rag Sorat was inspired by Queen Sorat's attributes. This rag evokes an intense desire to act upon one's strong convictions. Guru Nanak consensuously incorporated regional folklore and moral stories to deliver his profound messages so that the local people could easily relate with their essence. At Girnar Hills, Guru Nanak sang a verse in Rag Sorat.
सोरठ सदा सुहावनी जे सच्चा मन होए दंदी मैल न कत मन जीवै सच्चा सोए ससुर पेय पैवसी सतगुर सेव निसंग पर हर कपड़ जे पिर मिलै खुशी रावै फिर संग।
When the purity of speech and non-duality resides in the heart, the mind is in conviction to be on the path of truth. On reaching Junagadh, Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana proceeded to the Girnar Hills. We now visit the Girnar Hills, which are located about 4 kilometers from the city of Junagadh.
9,999 steps lead to the ancient sites on top of the Girnar hills. At the time of Guru Nanak's travels, and even in present times, these are important sites for pilgrimage.
These ancient historic sites belong to the religious traditions of Jainism, Shaivism, Vaishnavism, and Shaktism. Since ancient times, people associated with different religious traditions have been visiting the Girnar hills. Even in present times, Aghoris, the non-conventionalists, and Nanga sadhus, the naked ascetics, in addition to adherents of many other traditions, continue to congregate on these hills. During the time of Guru Nanak's visit, the Girnar hills were an important center for the followers of Guru Dattatreya, who lived centuries before Guru Nanak. In the Janamsakhi artworks, Guru Nanak's visit to the Girnar hills is often depicted as a meeting with a reclining sage, a symbolic representation of Guru Dattatreya, who is considered as a master of Tantra, the esoteric magical practices. Tara Singh Narottam, in his book Gur Tirath Sangrah, written in 1884, notes that Gurdwara Charan Padaka existed in Junagadh to commemorate Guru Nanak's visit. The site has now ceased to exist. It is said to have been built by the almost extinct Sutra Shahi community of mendicants aligned with Sutra Shah, a disciple of Guru Har Gobind, the 6th Sikh Guru. Junagadh is home to a large Sindhi community, which has built many places of worship in the memory of Guru Nanak.
This Gurdwara in Junagadh is made by the Sindhi community who migrated here from Pakistan.
We took this opportunity to visit a Sindhi family who maintain a Gurdwara within the precincts of their house in Junagadh.
This is the oldest Gurdwara in Junagadh at Circle Chowk, which has been built by the Sindhi community in memory of Guru Nanak's visit to this city.
From Junagadh, we make a detour from Guru Nanak's trail to visit Dwarka in order to trace memories of Bhagat Pipa, a saint whose philosophy was aligned with that of Guru Nanak's. Bhagat Pipa spent the majority of his life in Dwarka, a port city in the state of Gujarat. The ancient Dwarkadhish temple at Dwarka is an important Hindu pilgrimage associated with the deity Krishna. Bhagat Pipa was born in the year 1425 AD to a royal Rajput family of Gagaron village in Rajasthan. Though enjoying all the pleasures and comforts of royal life, Bhagat Pipa yearned for spiritual knowledge. During a visit to Varanasi, he sought acceptance from Bhagat Ramanand to become his guru. Bhagat Ramanand refused to accept him as his disciple till he discarded the ego accompanying worldly position. As such, the distinction of high and low could be obliterated. Accordingly, Bhagat Pipa renounced his royalty and walked the path of spirituality. Epitomizing humility, Bhagat Pipa and his wife travelled the country to serve common people. He sang hymns composed by him to earn proceeds which would then be distributed amongst the poor. At Dwarka, after having made a considerable effort to find a physical site associated with Bhagat Pipa, we discovered a small shrine just behind the iconic Dwarkadhish temple.
भक्तमाल पुस्तक में लिखा है कि पीपावाऊ गांव है, वहाँ के रहने वाले हैं पीपाजी भगत, जो कपड़ा सिलाई वाला जो दर्जी लोग है ना, उनके ये गुरुजी है पीपाजी। पीपाजी का स्वरूप जो है पहले मिट्टी का बनाया था।
Bhagat Pipa, one of the saints of the Bhakti movement, was a contemporary of Guru Nanak. There is no evidence that Guru Nanak and Bhagat Pipa met in person. However, his verse is enshrined in the Guru Granth Sahib, the sixth scripture, as an indication that the philosophy of monism, the oneness of creation, overlapped.
Kaya bahu khande khojte navanidh paaye na kach aebo na kach jaebo Ram ki dohai जो ब्रह्मंडे सोई पिंडे जो खोजे सो पावे पीपा प्रणवे परम तत्व है सतगुर होए लखावे।
Bhagat Pipa says that the entire universe is a manifestation of the one supreme power. From Junagadh, Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana travelled by foot to Ahmedabad. After having made a detour to Dwarka, we resume our journey in the footsteps of Guru Nanak from Junagadh to Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad, situated in the banks of the river Sabarmati, is located in the clean state of Gujarat. Historically ruled by Hindu kings, it transitioned to the Delhi Sultanate in the 14th century. In 1411 AD, Sultan Muzaffar Shah named it Ahmedabad. In Ahmedabad, we were unable to find any site commemorating Guru Nanak's visit. However, the followers of Guru Nanak congregate at the Gurdwara Gobind Dham. In this city, there are mosques that have a distinct blend of Islamic and Hindu architecture. Architectural experts describe these structures as a Hindu body with Islamic apparels. The workmanship displayed at these sites reminds me of Guru Nanak's words of appreciation for the humble attribute of the supreme energy, which remains elusive and does not visibly assert its creativity, even after having created the entire diversity.
जाते सभाणाता जागत उपाया बाल कला आ
Ahmedabad, Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana traveled to Ujjain. Tracing Guru Nanak's footsteps, we travel from Ahmedabad to Ujjain. Geographically located at the Tropic of Cancer, Ujjain was earlier known as Avantipura. It has been ruled by two iconic rulers, King Vikramaditya, who is accredited for formulating Vikrami Samvat, the Indic calendar system, and his elder brother, King Bharthari, a prominent Nath Jogi figurehead.
Ujjain, located on the banks of river Shipra, was historically a prominent city and continues to be an important place of pilgrimage for the Hindus.
At Ujjain, every 12 years, the Kumbh Mela is held on the banks of the Shipra river. We visit the Mahakaleshwar Jyotirlinga temple. This temple is one of the 12 Jyotirlinga sites, which symbolically represent different manifestations of Lord Shiva. Pilgrims pay homage at the temple after taking a ritualistic bath at the Shipra river. We now visit Gurdwara Guru Nanak Ghat on the banks of the Shipra river.
At Ujjain, Guru Nanak had dialogues with the Nathpanthi followers of Bharthari. This Gurdwara is in remembrance of Guru Nanak's visit to Ujjain.
During the times of Guru Nanak's visit, a large community of Nath Jogis, the followers of Bharthari Yogi, resided in Ujjain. On hearing Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana sing on the banks of the Shipra river, the Nath Jogis approached them to inquire which form of God they revered, why they did not attach importance to religious bathing, and what path they followed for spiritual cleansing. In reply, Guru Nanak sang,
उत्तर अवघट सरवर नावै बक न भूले हर गुण गावै जल आकाशी सुन समावे रस सत चोल महारस पावे ऐसा ज्ञान सुनो अब मोर भरपुर तार रहया सब ठोर भरपुर तार रहया सब ठोरे
Guru Nanak said that he reveres the force which resides in all forms and cleanses his mind from vices of bathing in the waters of truth. We now visit the Bharthari caves, which are located in the outskirts of the city of Ujjain. These caves caves are named after King Bhartrihari, who after renouncing his kingdom lived here as an ascetic. Later, many man-made caves were built around it by his devotees and the Kanfatta yogis, the split-eared ascetics. Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana were invited by the yogis to stay in the commune for a few days. The yogis mentioned that through the practice of fasting, prescribed religious meals, and supernatural powers, they had discovered techniques to live a long, disease-free life. In response, Guru Nanak sang,
खेमा गई व्रत सीन संतोखं रोग न व्यापै ना जम दोखं मुक्त भय प्रभ रूप न रेखं जोगी को कैसा डर होए रूख बिरख ग्रह बाहर सोए निरभय जोगी निरंजन ध्यावै अन दिन जागै सच लिव लावै सो जोगी मेरे मन भावै.
Guru Nanak said that he practices fasting through forgiveness and contentment. In the state of liberation, he envisions oneness with all. Abiding by the laws of nature, he remains in union with the force which gives life and death. The pilgrims visiting the Mahakaleshwar Jyotirlinga temple in hope of salvation would also visit Bhartari caves. Some visitors asked Guru Nanak if there was any better path to achieve salvation than visiting sites of worship. In response, Guru Nanak sang,
अध्यात्म कर्म करता साचा मुक्त भेद क्या जाने गाता ऐसा जोगी जुगत विचार पंचमार साचुर तार पंचमार साचुर तार.
religious protocols are just concepts created by belief systems. Guru Nanak says, seekers who truthfully delve deep within to awaken their consciousness find the secrets of salvation. At a short distance from the Bhartari caves, we visit the memorial of Guru Machindranath, also known as Matsyendranath, who started the tradition of the Nath Yogis. Bhartari Hari was a disciple of Guru Gorakhnath, who was one of the notable disciples of Guru Machindranath. Historically, both Muslims and Hindus revered Guru Machindranath. This fact about cross-community followership of Nath Yogis is also stated on the information board at this memorial. Muslims would refer to him as Peer and the Hindus as Guru. From Ujjain, we make a detour from Guru Nanak's trail to visit Dhunwa Kalan in Rajasthan to explore memories of Bhagat Dhanna, a saint whose philosophy was aligned with that of Guru Nanak's.
मत कर माया को अहंकार, मत कर काया को अभिमान, कायागार से कायागार से काची रे जैसा ओ तेरा मोती का पवन का लग जाए, झपका पवन का लग जाए, काया धूल हो जाती।
At Dhunwa Kalan, a Gurdwara and a temple commemorate the life of Bhagat Dhanna.
ऐसा सत्य था महाराज जिनका मुल्कों में नाम, दिन घर झूलता हाथी।
Bhagat Dhanna was born in 1415 AD at this village to a humble family of farmers. A noble, simple-hearted person, the accounts of his life mention that as a young child, he seriously took the advice of a Brahmin who gave him a stone and directed him to worship it as the divine. His pure intentions and deep devotion enabled him to have a glimpse of divinity. Even in a simple stone, he saw the unity of the entirety of creation. There is no documented evidence that Bhagat Dhanna and Guru Nanak met in person. But inclusion of 3 of his verses in the Guru Granth Sahib, the 6th scripture, indicates that their thoughts were philosophically aligned.
गुरु नानक देव जी ने इनकी भी वाणी सुनकर के अति मंत्रमुग्ध हुए और संकलित किया। कई संतों की वाणियां उन्होंने संकलित की। तो इससे हमें यही संदेश मिलता है गुरु नानक देव जी से और धन्ना जी की जीवनी से कि धर्म कोई अलग अलग नहीं है, कभी आपस में बैर भाव रखना नहीं सिखाता, सभी प्यार से और प्रेम से रहे।
Both Guru Nanak and Bhagat Dhanna exhorted the importance of purity of one's actions and exhibiting unwavering faith in the omnipresent, who provides nourishment for all, even for the tiniest creature residing inside rocks. Psychologist Abraham Maslow's law of hierarchical needs states that one can only aspire to altruism if one's basic needs are first fulfilled. In humility, Bhagat Dhanna seeks the provider to take care of his basic needs so that he can peacefully devote himself to the service of others.
Gopal tera aarta, Gopal tera aarta, jo jan tumhari bhagat karante, tinke kaaj savarta. गोपैस मंगोलावेरी इकता जन तोरी चंगेरी कर की गीहन चंगे जनतन ना लेवे मंगे.
From Ujjain, Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana travelled to Chittorgarh. After having made detour to Dhunwa Kalan, we resume our journey in the footsteps of Guru Nanak from Ujjain to Chittorgarh.
सारा घट माही ज्ञान का जंजीरा,
At the time Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana visited Chittorgarh, this region was known as Mewar.
Chittorgarh is the largest fort complex in India atop a hill. This city is famous for the temple of Mirabai, the celebrated female saint of the Indian Bhakti tradition.
The fort houses several magnificent monuments, some dating back to the times of Guru Nanak. The presence of many historic Jain and Hindu temples inside this fort is a testimony to the spiritual importance of this city amongst people of diverse faiths. Inside Chittorgarh Fort, there exists only one site associated with Guru Nanak. It was set up by the members of the Udasin community. With the older generation of the Udasin members, Baba Prabhu Das and Kishan Das having passed away, the shrine is now managed by the family of Ratan Das, who are farmers.
मैं रतन दास, पिता का नाम गोपीलाल जी। हम किले पर चामुंडा माता मंदिर और गुरुद्वारे पे विराजने हैं और मेरे दादा गुरु किशन दास जी उदासीन पंजाब अमृतसर से गुरु ग्रंथ साहब लेके पधारे। गुरु साहब का यहाँ स्थापना की है उनकी देह। गुरु नानक देव जी ने जो भ्रमण किया था तो उनका उपदेश तो ये आता है कि उन्होंने मतलब इस संसार जीवन को तराया है, तराने के लिए ही वो निकले थे। जो सब कुछ है जो वो एक अहंकार है, उसके हवाला कुछ नहीं है। तो महाराज ने ये समझाया इस संसार को और इस जीवन को कि भाई आप सब मिलके अच्छा मार्ग पकड़े, सत्य के ऊपर चले। तीरथ व्रत ये सब गुरु की चरणों में है, माता पिता के चरणों में आता है।
Observing the vast footprint of the coexistence of diverse faiths in the Chittorgarh Fort complex, I reflect on how all belief systems essentially aim at harmonious existence.
उड़ड़े नाम विसारया बूढ़ड़े क्या तिस चारो गुण छोड़ बिख ला दया अवगुण का वण जारो।
Yeah, I think we can stop it now.
Like I said last time, Amardeep, it's really fascinating journey. You know, I mean, I've never personally, visited Somnath or Dwarkadish, and just to see all those places and get to know about Junagadh, Chittor. I mean, all those places, Junagadh, Chittorgarh, very fascinating. Getting to know a
Thank you.
lot about Indian culture and history also in the process. So, anybody has any questions, just feel free to raise your hands and we'll get you to ask your question. Amardeep, we guys have a corporate background, so we've like done this Maslow's theory a few times, right? In terms of, but it seems to me that it's not really. I mean, it doesn't apply to many of the saints, right? Because it doesn't seem to me that they went through that full thing of, or maybe they did and they passed it quickly around esteem and all those type of things before they reach self-actualization. Doesn't seem to me that, I mean, they didn't seem to have so many needs, right? So that
No,
was,
I think no, I think you need a mass. Okay, for those of the students who, just to give a bit of a context, so when we saw in this episode the site of Bhagat Dhanna in Rajasthan, Dunwa Kala, and the verse out there is uh, referring to Maslow's law, right? I mean, Maslow's law, Maslow is a modern management guru uh, and psychologist, right? He's a psychologist, not psychologist, whose principles of whose principles are applied in the modern day management and life lessons. It essentially says that you can only strive for something bigger in life if your basic needs are satisfied or are fulfilled. Now, what is the most fundamental basic needs? There is a movie which was there when we all were kids, it was called as Roti Kapda Makan, right? So, Roti Kapda Makan is basically you need food on the table, you need clothing, right? Clothing means you need basic stuff around you, around to take care of your body, and you need a shelter. Once these three things are satisfied, the mind now starts gravitating towards bigger purposes in life. That's what the Maslow's curve say, Maslow's law says, right? It's a self-actualization stuff. Now, this is a context I'm giving to the students.
yeah.
Now, what Jugjeev is saying is that he's questioning whether the saints, the Maslow's law really applies to these saints because did they have much of needs? Look, everyone who comes into this existence, right? The poorest of poor or the richest of rich have needs. And the question is, how do you differentiate a need from a desire? They're two different things, right? Now, the problem in today's materialistic world is the needs are like a spiral that grows into as we start maturing and we get more and more. And the desires, it's like a tornado. The desires become bigger and bigger, and you just engulfed inside it. You're not able to differentiate that needs only basic to survive. You can have a meaningful life with needs. A new model of something has come, a new car has come. I need a new car. You just need a basic car. A desire, a need is basically you just need four wheels to drive you from point A to point B. The desire is you need a Rolls Royce. Now, the Indic saints have mastered the art of turning the tornado of desires upside down. When you say upside down means they've brought the desires down and they're saying, I can live this. Now, I'll give you my personal example. I have lived a very desirous life. I've gone to the same school as you. I've gone, into very prestigious environments here and there. Done my MBA. 25 years I was in the finance industry in a corporate world. It was all about money, 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 money. Right? Your friends, your this and that. But something I was doing differently. Now, I'm wired from a childhood days to think differently, and these self actualization will not happen day one. Self effort over the years. Now, for me, when I look back, while I was doing all these worldly activities and spiraling in the web of desires, I was doing something else. When I walked away from the corporate, or the energies made me walk away, right? Go through a lot of challenges, a lot of change, right? A change actually is very, very challenging, right? So, but over a period of now, I've been out of the corporate world for good 11 plus years, nearly coming to 12 years. But I figured out I don't need more than my needs. I have had a very successful career. I have put my balances to put food on the table. I have a roof on my head. I have my clothing. Now, I've taken probably 25 years. I walked away from the corporate world at 48 years of age. So at 48, I'm not a saint, but I'm giving my example. It's possible. I walked away at 48 years of age, saying that my life, I don't want it to be just running in desires, desires, desires. I have got basic needs. I want to self-actualize. And all these pursuits that's happening for 11 plus years from now in the past is the culmination of the self-actualization that's happening, right? So I think that's where the thing is. Now the question is, no one knows whether Kabir self-actualized at the age of 20 or at the age of 50 or so and so forth, right? But anyone can have a spark of self-actualization at any age. So we know from Kabir's lifestyle that he was living in a basic, humble place. He had the food. He was all these Indic saints that we're talking about. They were all economic contributors. Either you take Ravidas, he was a cobbler. You take Kabir, he would make cloth, right? He was a weaver. So they all were taking care of their needs. Nanak, he was doing farming, right? At the end of his life. Yes, he had a phase of going away. I mean, that was his life. But he came and he contributed backwards. He was a farmer, right? So all these saints were actually economic contributors. And that's the key difference out here. When we look at around 100 years ago. Sorry, can we just put that off? So when we look at our today's world, the problem today is that the so-called saints, I see so many of them, and I wonder, the lavish, luxurious lifestyle, are they truly saints? Have they really given up their desires, right? Are they really economic contributors? I mean, you may have created an economy around yourself and your fan following, and you run your own fiefdom and your own kingdom. But are you really economic contributors? And these are the key differences I find in true saint and a saint that we call today. I'll stop there.
Yeah, maybe they went through the cycle, and maybe it just happened fast. Obviously, but it seems to me that maybe our maybe that's just a perception. It seemed to me that they found God, and because they found God in their own way, the other things stopped mattering much and stopped caring about those things. So that's what the impression I have. But
I think I'll just interject out here. You see, all throughout the series,
right,
and for the kids, I'm saying this. If any of the kids are hearing this, please
yeah,
hear this carefully. This is the way the differentiation is. I am not of the God concept, because the more I've studied these Indic saints, there's nothing like a God concept. There is a oneness concept. The nature, the substratum, the lowest form of nature amongst everything that we see or we don't see is the energy that creates everything, right? That energy is from which all these bubbles arise. That is us, right? And we all submerge back into that energy. That's the modern philosophical or modern field theory or whatever you call it. Everything's emerging from an energy, takes a form and subsides back into it. Now, Guru Nanak, when we call Om, you say, Om is what? Creation, sustenance, and destruction of the energy. And Guru Nanak goes beyond to say, and this is what all Kabirs and all these Indic saints of the Bhakti period are saying, Farid or Nanak or Ravidas, they all are saying the same thing. And this is where I think we have made a fundamental difference in our interpretation of our philosophy. Because as a kid, when I was reading my own community's faith, I was misled for many years with this God concept as saying that God is one. And you found God. Help me understand, where is God? Who has found God? Where is it existing? I think when Nanak is saying Ik Omkar, he's saying Om, which is creation, sustenance, destruction of the energy form, which takes Akar. It takes form. Akar is form. And he puts a one before that. One before that does not mean God is one. One before that means that everything in this energy that we are a part of is intertwined into oneness. And if you start seeing that way, then you start seeing the dog is the same as me, you are the same as me, the tree is the same as me, I am the same as that nature, and everything now becomes a perception or an understanding of intertwined into one. The concept of God then goes away, because then you start saying what Kabir says, Khalak, Khalak, Khalak mein Khalik. The creation is the creator. Creation is the creator. Creator is the creation. There's no difference now. So when you say God is one, I think the biggest problem starts is because then it becomes, where is God? We've gone into a dualistic theory. And the dualistic, something is away from you and you're trying to find it. And that's where I interjected is when you said maybe they found God. We are assuming that God is in a dualistic concept. And these saints are not saying that. These saints are saying that everything is one. Sorry if it's challenging the belief systems.
No. I just use God in that sense. My point was that they found what they were looking for in terms of connection with the creation, the creator,
Yeah.
and then they didn't
Yeah.
need some of the other things, it seemed to me.
Yeah.
And they didn't chase some of these things, like you said, and I've done the same thing in a corporate life, right? So they didn't sort of chase these things, or maybe they just treaded that path much quicker. They didn't,
Yeah.
they didn't sort of hang around that path much, and they moved very quickly from basic needs to self-actualization, and then they found
I agree.
nothing else
Yeah.
mattered. So whatever. So I just want to pick on a slightly what could be a touchy subject, but I think let's just talk about it a wee bit. Uh,
Someone is
taking a
asking
dip.
one sec, someone is asking when was Guru Nanak born? I just want to complete that. 1469. 1469.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
Rituals were made for a purpose, right? They were made for a purpose. So let's talk about bathing, whether it's dip in the Ganga or dip in the Sarovar at Amritsar. I mean, you know, what is it what is it supposed to do, and what are you supposed to do when you do go there?
I don't know. The moment I realized wisdom and I started understanding the words, what they're saying, I don't, if I have to bathe, I'll bathe in my bathroom and I'll cleanse my mind through wisdom.
Yeah, so because that's what I was thinking. Like Mahakumbh was such a big thing, particular time, and anyway. So what I figured was that Ganga is supposed to be part of the divine, right? The goddess, right? So basically, when you're going in there, actually the point is the point you made about cleansing your mind. So there, I mean, unless you are doing something to identify and to cleanse your mind and to connect with the divine, uh, that dip is not going to do anything for you.
So, episode number 7, let's just step back. We did
Yeah.
go through this. These things take a
Yeah.
long time to sediment inside. Maybe you have to revisit everything, right? So, we went into
Yeah.
Allahabad. We talked about Kumbh, if you remember, right? Now, in that
Yeah.
episode 7, I brought in the name, and which is known, the Prayagraj or Allahabad is known as Triveni Ghat.
Yes.
Triveni, 3 rivers. Vain is a river, right? Triveni, three rivers. Anyone who's been to that confluence or where the Kumbh happens, tell me where are the 3 rivers? You only see 2 rivers, Ganga and Jamuna come in confluence, right? Today we just touched about it at this Bharuch, right, or
Bharuch.
Prabhas Patan where Somnath, and I talked about
Yeah.
also
Somnath,
the
yeah.
third river, right? Third river was always the third river. Always, it's coming in three, 4 places. It comes at your Pehoba in Haryana, at the Sanihit
Yeah.
Sarovar. It comes at Kumbh in Allahabad. There's a third river, and today again the mention comes at Prayagraj at not Prayagraj, at Somnath Mandir Prabhas Patan. The third river is the common river, Saraswati. Whatever be the physical manifestation of body and soul, the 2 rivers, Ganga, Jamuna, or Sanhet Sarovar, or the 2 rivers we talked about today at Pravas Patal. The third river is always invisible. And so tell me, where is that third river in all these places? And even at Allahabad and Kumbh, where is the third river? The third river, Saraswati, is knowledge, wisdom, which flows underneath of everything, right? So it's the confluence at the Triveni Ghat of 3 rivers, mind, body, and as well as wisdom, is where you were supposed to get wisdom. Why did Guru Nanak travel to Triveni? If you hear that episode, in that he's categorically saying that for him it's the wisdom that matters. It's not, and if people are congregating at Kumbh, so where will he find people? If I have to come and speak to your students, you have created a platform where the students are there. I can keep talking about this to myself, but you've created me a platform, so I better come on this platform. Today you started by saying, Amardeep, I appreciate your energy that you've stayed on for 16 episodes for so long. It is a lot of commitment, right? It's more than a year of commitment. But to me, it's important because the youth are here. So if I have to engage with the youth, I have to come to your platform. It does not mean that I believe in what everyone out here believes in. And that's what Guru Nanak was doing. Wisdom, Trivedi is the main thing. No one today is only superficially looking at the bathing out there, but the bathing is supposed to happen in the wisdom of the Saraswati, the knowledge. And you're talking to students who are being guided by teachers out here. What more but to talk about wisdom out here?
Yep, absolutely. And this is the episode which talks about wisdom being the port to cross the earth or the river. So that's how we started this episode, and there was a reference to it at the end also. So thank you very much, Amardeep.
Is there any question? Is there any question that anyone has? Otherwise, I mean, like, because I think we should give an opportunity if anyone else has a question. We have been talking, but I saw Ela Gautam's message. I always wish to visit these places. No one stops anywhere. Go ahead, Ela. Yeah, take the first step. Everything will happen, right? So, okay, if there's nothing else, then I would have loved it if students would have asked something, but yeah, Aryan Modi is saying, sir. So does Aryan want to say something?
Yeah, why don't you unmute yourself and ask Aryan? Aryan, you want to ask a question?
Okay, I think it must be just.
Aryan, do you want to ask a question?
Divyanshu has sent, just hold on. Divyanshu has sent me one message as a private message. So I think I need to just, because it applies to everyone. Divyanshu is saying Saraswati flows inside the earth, I think, right? Okay. You know what? You look at the wisdom of all these Indic saints. Everyone is saying the earth, they are actually talking in amazement of the creative energies. They say the entire structure of the earth, which is a lot of mass, it's a heavy mass, right? We look at the mountains, the rocks, it's floating on water. I mean, you dig anywhere, you'll find water, right? You just make a boring well in your garden and you'll find water coming out. Right at the under of this, all this structure, there is a lot of water. Yes, Saraswati flowing inside. If you want to take a physical manifestation of the Saraswati, there is water everywhere. What is flowing? There's the entire earth has got water under it, right? It's a metaphoric representation. You will not find Saraswati River anywhere else. What the scientists are trying to say from the satellite mappings now is that potentially there was a river that was flowing from Tibet down through Haryana, Punjab, and into the Indus River, and they're now calling that potentially as Saraswati. No one has a because they're seeing a basin there. No one knows what that river was, right? These are only theories. The fact is that if that Saraswati River repeats in every spiritual site where the people are congregating, help me understand, where is that river? That river is flowing as wisdom. Saraswati represents, in our Indic tradition, Saraswati is the name given to the goddess of knowledge. So I think you need to, as you see the series, I am appreciating the fact that he's asked this question, Divyanshu, but keep your mind open. I really appreciate this question coming from you. Keep your mind open and try and understand the metaphoric meanings behind these saints, right? I think you'll be able to grow your mind much, much bigger, right? Thank you for asking that question. Okay, now someone's asking, Akash Kumar, sir, Guru Nanak traveled this place with whom? You have to see the episode series. It's available on the website called thegurunanak.com. He had his Muslim companion, Bhai Mardana, who was from his village at Talwandi, and the two of them traveled this entire length and breadth. Guru Nanak traveled for 22 years. Bhai Mardana and him, who was his baap player, traveled for 20 years with him. I'll take that next one. Sir, where and when was Guru Nanak born? See the first episode. Some of you seem to have come in between. I'm giving you again. The website name is thegurunanak.com. Go to there and start seeing the episode. See it with your parents, see it with your friends, see it yourself, but try and see it on a television screen. It's available freely, thegurunanak.com. Pick up your language. It's in 5 languages and see it from there. Okay. I think I've taken all the questions. Manisha, you were trying to say something and I stopped you there. Sorry.
No, sir, I was just asking the students to unmute and they may ask some questions or queries they have.
Yeah, and some of these queries very easily answered by Google.
Exactly. Students, in case you have any query, please feel free to talk. Amardeep sir is waiting for your questions.
But I'm glad first time students are actually asking questions. We should be having this after every session, at least 5 to 10 minutes given to them. There's no
Exactly.
question. There's no question that's stupid. There's no question. We have all gone through this stage that you are in. We knew nothing, so there's nothing stupid, right? So just go ahead and ask. Oh, what was the motive of Guru Nanak? Kshitij Verma, a great question. Great question. I often wonder. You see, I always say this is I cannot be in his mind, and a person who is boxed into a faith, the faith advocates will give you 10 reasons or hundreds of reasons. The fact is, I think he was a man on a quest. He was a man whose wiring actually at a very young age made him desire to travel to different places, to actually engage with people of different faiths, to engage in spiritual dialogues. That's his journey, right? Now, in today, because he's boxed into a faith, the faith people will tell you, oh, because he wanted to start a new faith, or you want to start a new thought process. I think you can only start something when you have listened to someone. And this comes out beautifully in the first verse, in the first episode, when we start this documentary series. The answer of your question, I think, alludes into that verse. I cannot say what was in Guru Nanak's mind, but I can take you to that verse. I think that's where the answer lies. He says, we start this documentary series by the lady singing, the Salima Khwaja singing a verse of Guru Nanak, which says, Jablak dunya rahiye Nanak, kich suniye, kich kahiye. Basically, what Nanak is saying, till you are there in this world, because our breath when it comes and the breath when it stops, we don't control it. But we are here. We control our actions. And he says, Jablak dunya rahiye Nanak. Nanak is saying, till such time you're living in this world. Kich suniye, listen to something. And kich kahiye, and impart something. Right? Now, what do you listen to? Of course, it's going to be the right wisdom stuff. And you have to actually not listen to all junk around you. But the practice out here is listening first and then sharing. And I think that does that answer your question, Kshitij? Okay, I'm glad. I'm so happy that the questions are coming in at a philosophical level. Thank you, Athar Sharaf. Right. What do you mean by oneness of God? No, I did not say any God concept. I did not say oneness of God. I said oneness of the entire creation. I'm not even saying oneness of humanity, because then you exclude animals, then you exclude plants. You are not a superior species. When you read these Western authors who write, man is a supreme being in the top of the chain of creation. Sorry, they got it wrong. Man still needs food to actually survive, and the food comes from the so-called lower elements of this thing. So this is a superiority complex that we have created. We are just a small part of a big equation. And so I did not say God, oneness of God. This is something that has been taught to us. Monotheism. Monotheism is God is one. That you can say one is over. But then where is God? The moment you say one, God is one, but God is not here with you, then where is it? There's a duality of God. God cannot be in the creation. This is a concept of Abrahamic faith. You have to bring in the mindset. What Nanak does is putting one number before Omkar. He says Ik Omkar. He says everything that this energy is creating is intertwined into oneness. That means I am dependent on you, you are dependent on me, we are dependent on the animals are dependent on us, the plants are dependent on us, we are dependent on the plants, and not just the earth. The entire creation beyond your earth, even the vacuum outside is dependent on each other. So that's the oneness of creation that we are talking about. I think these Bhakti Sufi period saints, they were anchoring on the concept of God because the people whom they were talking to were anchored into the concept of God. So they had to make them understand oneness of the creation through the concept that they understood. So like we use the word Hari. We say Hari is God. But Hari, if you understand the metaphoric meaning, Har, it comes from the word Har, everywhere. The manifestation of that everywhere, and that's what we mean. So thank you for asking this deep question. Think about it. Atar, I'm going to give you two words. If you can just note down, and if any other student can note down, you have to start your own journey. You may not be able to understand what I'm saying right now, but you understand your journey. Go to the Google and search for these two words and find your answer yourself. Find out the difference between the word monotheism, which is what we say God is one. Monotheism, which is what the Google says about Guru Nanak also, that Guru Nanak started a monotheistic faith. The more you understand, Nanak or Kabir did not start any monotheism. Look at the other word, which is monism, M-O-N-I-S-M, monism. Now try and put your head around it to understand the difference between what does monotheism mean and what does monism mean. There are Abrahamic concepts that will say God is one, which are monotheistic faiths. Monism means everything is one, and we are talking about that. Okay, who was father and mother of Guru Nanak? I think these things you can find on the internet. Mehta Kalu and
Mata
Tripta. Sorry, I was going blank on that one. So yeah, and see episode 1, you'll find it. Okay, then why Guru Nanak is called Guru Nanak, right? No, his name is Nanak. Nanak is his name. Today, you see, the more you read these saints, the more they become your friend. I can call Nanak in my mind Nanak. I call him Nanak. I don't call him Guru Nanak. I call him in my mind. But the world that I'm living in will not let me live if I don't call him Guru Nanak, because they want him to be he's boxed into a faith. For me, he's a friend. For me, Kabir is a Kabir. They're like my friends. We talk to them, right? So what I'm trying to say is, all these saints, we, the society, are looking upon them as aspirational people who have taught us a lot of knowledge or wisdom. So we want to give them respect. Guru means a person. Gu is darkness and Ru is light. A person who takes someone through wisdom from the stage of darkness to the stage of light. So therefore we say Guru, anyone who is actually anchored in wisdom. But the more you understand wisdom, I think the word Guru has no relevance, because the person becomes your friend through the writings that they give. I mean, but I can't say that in an open forum, right? Because people will then think that I'm being blasphemous actually to the person. But to me, he's my friend, right? Okay. Why Queen Sothar sacrificed her life? So it's not Sothar, it's Sorat, S-O-R-A-T-H. This information, I think, will be taking us aside from the philosophical dialogues we are having. Just search for Sorat on the internet. Sorath, Queen Sorat, and you'll find the whole story there. Okay, then who is the father? We've already covered that. We already covered that. Okay, sir, the documentary mentions that wherever Nanak went, people made Gurdwara on his name. Why, sir? Oh, you know what? He, at 1469, when he was born, he created a force. He created a force through a philosophical mindset. Today he's boxed into a faith, but you look at the history, which unfortunately is not taught in India in that great details, but that history churned in the lands of Indus, which got divided and became India and Pakistan. The entire community that followed Nanak have got dispersed all around. This is not about Sikhs, by the way. Nanak is not about Sikhs. Nanak is someone who appealed to many, many people, and it resulted in formation of an empire in Lahore, in that region, which was never thought of, because that whole region was experiencing onslaught of people coming from Central Asia for 800 to 900 years. That's the power of Nanak's wisdom and the word that he gave us, right? But when people start following someone, then they want to make something in the memory of that person. That person may not have wanted anything in the memory, but people want to. And therefore, these Gurdwaras come up. But if you look at the evolution of Gurdwaras, and you will find in the episode in Afghanistan, I will share with you people who are still living there in those remote regions. Gurdwara is a very modern name. Actually, our ancestors who came 150 years back from these regions, they used to call them as Dharamshal. Dharamshal is where the dharam is not religion. Dharam means righteousness, doing the right thing, right? And righteous, a shal is a place where righteousness is taught, right? So the word Dharamshal over the period of time has changed to Gurudwaras, but that's what the people have made them. Okay, so Athar has said, okay, sir, now I've understood. Thank you, but don't think you've understood so soon because these things are very, very complicated. You keep trying. If you think you've understood, keep delving into it more. You are at a very, very young stage. The more you delve into it, the more you'll understand. Clarity will come into your mind, and you will become a better human that way. Okay. Can you talk about Guru Nanak's struggles? Oh, how much time do we have? Because I'm going on and on. Jagjeev. I mean, I'm glad this is the first time it's happened that they've started asking so many questions, right? We just opened a Pandora's box. I used to feel the kids don't get it, but they get it, right? So, what do you tell me? Do you want to take all these questions?
So it's almost towards the end of the session. It's like 15 minutes. If you want to take up, you may.
Yeah, please do.
Okay,
Amardeep,
okay.
this is what joy of learning is.
Thank you, Sandeep. Yeah, thank you, Sandeep, because I'm glad the students are asking. We've reached 2/3 of the episode. I should think that the students are not getting it, right? So thank you so much. There's nothing wrong or right. Yeah. So thank you so much. Okay, so who's asking this? Yeah.
Shaurya wants to know if they're God.
Divyanshu has sent me a private message. So don't send private messages, please. Just send it on the group because everyone can see it. Otherwise, I have to read it out then, right? So Divyanshu is asking in a private message, can you talk about Guru Nanak's struggles? Oh, you know what? Anyone. I think the problem is today is that we think our saints are gods. Now, what is the God concept? You think there are no struggles if creation is God, if creation is God, then why do avalanches happen? Why do earthquakes happen? Because they create a lot of challenges, right? So the world should be a perfect place. Well, the creation is filled with two polarities. One is challenges, and one is very positive development opportunities, right? In every destruction, there is also a creation, because only when you destroy your conditioning will you actually be able to create something new of yourself, right? So that's a principle of the entire creation. So what are Guru Nanak's struggles? Well, for a person in those times to think, you see, step back for a moment, for someone to say that I'm going to leave my family and go on this long journey to have dialogues. We talk about Buddha. I think your group has been studying Buddha for a long time, right? How many people talk about the struggles? We talk about the struggles of Buddha. How many people talk about the struggles of his wife, what she went through, or of his son? Did they not go through a struggle when Buddha decided to leave the family and go away? Similarly, in Guru Nanak's life, when you're asking this question, thanks for asking that question, because he would have had a lot of struggles. But people forget what he would have gone through, what his son would have gone through, what his father would have gone through. Because in everything that you want to achieve, there is a struggle. You are studying. You think you're getting a degree just because of just because you're going to a school. You have to struggle to get it, right? So the enlightenment or the understanding of wisdom or the imparting of the knowledge that he has given, it is coming from his personal struggle. So I'm sure there will be a lot of struggles, right? A very fact that he's traveling in those days, itself is a struggle, but that's the physical struggle. You think about what he would have gone through in his mind, right? And think about also of not just the struggles of these learned people. Think of the struggles that the family goes through, people around them go through. Because when I'm struggling as a bread earner, or tomorrow when you start struggling as a bread earner, your family is a part of that struggle, right? Okay. Okay. Why?
Pratik had raised his hand. One sec. Pratik, you raised your hand. You put it down. Do you want to ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pratik.
Go ahead.
Sir, where the Guru Nanak Ji was born?
Sorry, I couldn't understand that question. Can someone repeat it?
I didn't hear that.
Sir, where the Guru Nanak Ji was born?
Nankana Sahib. Okay, so the Shaurya has asked a question, and a related question is there. Was Guru Nanak God, and is there God in this world?
I think I've addressed it. I think Shaurya, please go and search for two words. Shaurya is in sixth standard, right? You may not be able to understand this, but go back and write down monotheism and monism, right? And search on the internet and try and understand it. I'm telling you, you'll not understand in day one, but that's fine. That's fine. Keep it there and keep thinking about it. right? And it took me many years to understand some of these basic concepts, right? But when you will understand, the world will be very different to you. There'll be no conflict in your mind. So go and understand, right? So I think I've touched this. Okay, I think
So
that
Takshale, yeah, Guru Nanak was not God. He didn't want to be. He didn't say it at all, and I mean, he doesn't. He's a messenger of God at best.
I think, yeah, I think he's a messenger of oneness. I would say he's a messenger of oneness. That's why he
Oneness.
puts a one before the Omkar. That everything, all of us are. You see, Ravi Das, whose writings are he's from Varanasi, whose writings are in the Guru Granth Sahib scripture. He defines this beautifully. I talked about Kabir, and I'll come to Ravi Das. They all talk in the same language, right? Kabir is saying, "Khalak, khalak, khalak mein khalik," means creator is the creation is the creator. It's all cyclic, right? And Ravidas is giving a very beautiful concept, which you'll understand, which I just said is that the energy underlying all of us is the same, but it manifests in the different forms. So he says, "Kanak katak jal tarang jaisa," right? Tohi mohi mohi tohi antar kaisa. He says kanak is gold. Katak is a bracelet. When your mother wears a bracelet, if you look at it, the bracelet is made out of gold. The gold is the bracelet, and the bracelet is the gold, right? I mean, you can't separate a bracelet from a gold bracelet. If you understand what I'm trying to say, so it's all intertwined. If you say it's a gold bracelet, you can't say the bracelet is different from the gold. It's made out of the gold, and the two are intertwined, and that's what this whole creation is. I think that's what they're trying to say, right? But keep delving into these things. Jugjeev, I'm losing track. You'll have to tell me which question you want to pick up, because is there anything else?
Yeah. So tell his journey, Tulika. That's what we are doing. I mean, we are going through his journey. Gurpurab is normally the day of the birth of a Sikh guru.
So I think my I give always some radical stuffs out here. See, a body form, all these teachers have taught us that, and you'll see that in the episode 8, in the episode on Varanasi, death in Varanasi, where we're talking at the Manikarnika Ghat, right? And we played a very profound verse of Guru Nanak out there. For Guru Nanak and all these other saints of the Bhakti period, death is of no consequence, the physical death, and therefore the birth is of no consequence. What they're talking about is the germination of a new idea, a new thought, and the death of the evil thought is what is really important. Now, what happens is, just like someone asked, why have we made gurdwaras? Well, people who are following these leaders somehow, I feel, can't understand the deep philosophies, which are very simple. And therefore, they anchor on having these physical things, and they elevate the status, right? As I said, to me, Nanak is Nanak. He's like a friend. But to most of the people, he has to be told as Guru Nanak, right? And that becomes blasphemy. Similarly, Gurpurab is a day that we try and celebrate as a birth and death, right? It's like you celebrate for your home, for your family members. But to these saints, it doesn't matter what the birth or death is. It's we who want to celebrate. It's we who want to be inspired. It's we who want to be remembering. But to them, it really doesn't matter, right? They never asked to be celebrated. Okay.
So,
Any other question?
Mandeep is asking, and you answered part of it earlier, why he went and visited many places, what came into his mind. So he started the journey, and when he started his journey to different places.
Oh, he was about, I think, 30. He was about 35 years of age when he started, and he traveled for 22 years. So he was 47 years of age when he completed. But prior to that, he did his worldly life. He was working in Sultanpur Lodi. He was working under Sultanpur Lodi's governor, and he was a storekeeper there. So this is where it comes down. You look at my life. I have done my part of the corporate world, right? So when Jugjeev asked in the beginning, where the Maslow's hierarchy, and does it come to them automatically? Well, look at Guru Nanak's life also out here. I mean, I told you he was a farmer at the end of his life, but I forgot to tell you that till when he started traveling 35 years of age, he was working as a storekeeper, right? So they were actually active economic contributors. And therefore, when I say these modern day saints, are they really economic contributors? Many of them I don't see. They don't qualify to be saints, right? So anyhow, so his, sorry, repeat that question. I can't think I've lost it there in my, he said that, repeat that question, Jugjeev. I just lost my thought.
Yeah. So you can talk about, why he went to all these places.
Okay, so why? I think I've already addressed that. You know, I can't read his mind, right? You might ask Amardeep, why did you go in these places to trace his journey, right? I mean, I'm not a spiritual master out here, but to me, something in my life pulled me. I think, you see, when we are born, everyone is born with a certain wiring. Your life's direction is going to go in a particular direction, which no one else can predict, right? Now, he's born with a certain thing. All we can try and understand him through his words. And the words of his say that till you are alive in this world, seek and impart, say something and listen to. But before you say something, listen to. Most of listening is more important. He said, kuch suniye, kuch kahiye. Listen and then impart, right? So I think that's what took him around. He was wired to actually earn for a little while, whatever time, and he was wired to travel, to interact and understand the various elements of society, anthropology, people, philosophy. And when he understood all that, he came back and he started imparting it, right? And that became a force, right? So I always say when we traveled on his footpath, right, I am a changed man today because I think very differently. But going to these places with an open mind, with some understanding of philosophy, going into these places across 9 countries, so many multi-faith sites, taught me that I am no superior. I am no inferior. We are all no superiors or no inferiors. We are all just unique people. That's it. Right? So that's the piece that comes out. Now, if I wouldn't have traveled, I think travel is a great thing. And traveling to these places has opened up my mind. I think that's what he was trying to do out here, right? He couldn't have sat in one place and just got so much of wisdom of so many faiths coming in without understanding. People will in the faith will say that he was born with all this, but you have to acquire. You have to acquire. If you're a human, you have to acquire. Yeah. What's the next question? Dikshi, you have to tell me if you want the questions.
Mhm. No. How many places did Guru Nanak travel to?
You know what? This is a question that many people ask, and I think it's you as kids are asking. I will give a. I understand where you're coming from. People want discrete answers. There's nothing discrete. You want a count for it. People elderly people sometimes say these kind of questions. I say, how can I say every step that he's walking, he's traveling, right? life is not so discrete, right? I mean, just because there's no site there, if he would have traveled 22 years, every step that he's taken, he's traveled to that place, right? The interactions he's having, right? So it's hard to say, but yeah, we traveled around 9 countries, if that's what makes it simple. 9 countries based on the oldest text written between 65 years after his life up to 150 years after his life. There were 9 countries that he traveled to, and we had the narrative that was built across 150 sites of different faiths that we traveled into at the base level, right? But having said that, it still is hard to kind of give a number on this, because in the modern world, people are in this game of mine is better than yours. So my spiritual leader has to be better than yours. The fact is, these people did not ask for that. So we are sending the modern narrative on the internet. Guru Nanak's been sent left, right, center, everywhere. The people want to go. Everywhere there's a well being dug, and they open a Gurdwara, they dig a well, and they say Guru Nanak made this well. And I say that was his only job, to go around to different places, keep drilling wells and keep writing things out there. I mean, look at his wisdom that he's trying to impart, right? I think the well should be dug inside your heart to absorb that wisdom. I think that's what he applies for. I think we've already covered what is the aim of Guru Nanak. Oh, someone's asking meaning of Akal Murat, right? Look, every time you are looking at any of the words, try and break them and understand, right? Akal, is a negation. Kal is time, right? So when you negate time, Murat is a form. So we are all here as a form. Energy. I'm not going to say God. Most of the time it's said that this means God is without time. No, the energy which is always sustaining and creating and destroying has no form. It's beyond time. Because even if time collapses, Einstein's theory, so some of you will study when you go into physics, right? Even Einstein says time is relative. Right? So Akal is beyond time. Akal, Murat, it's beyond a form. This form that you're seeing right now is manifested with so much of energy, which is unseeable energy that's making me appear for a little bit of time. But that energy that's creating it's beyond time, right?
So,
Okay,
Amardeep, I think you
yeah.
answered it earlier,
All
but
right.
Prateek wants to know what was the aim of Guru Nanak?
I mean, I think, okay, let me, Prateek, it's a good question. Don't get me wrong if I'm going to answer this in a bit of a cynic, as a cynic, right? Don't get me wrong, don't take me wrong, but I'm just trying to understand my intent. What is the aim of you breathing? Do you think you breathe? Prateek, give me an
Yes, sir.
answer. When you
Yes, sir.
breathe, do you think you're breathing?
Yes, sir.
No, it happens naturally, right? There's certain things, everyone in your life, why will certain things happen in your life? The rational world always tries to have a goal, a reason. The Western concept is always to have a reason. I think many of these things you can't define by reasoning. You should just take that he was as an individual, his life was different. Why he did it, I've given a lot of answers. I think he was wired to understand different cultures, different philosophies, different spiritual elements, but he brought it all together and he gave it to us as wisdom. But was that the reason why he was doing it? I think that was the reason when he passed away, he must have understood that this is what I want to do. That's why I was doing it, right? But it's like my life. I'm 58 plus now. When I left my corporate world, I had no idea why I left it and what I was going to do. But something that I had been doing unconsciously as a child till now has come into manifesting, and that's like breathing. You don't breathe consciously. You don't ask your next breath to come. You just do what you have to do, and things evolve. I think that's the best way to describe.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, I think Juki, you have taken a lot of questions today. It's a Pandora's
Yeah,
box.
well, I mean, Shaswat is still, adding God and oneness together. So you may want to part with that answer to that one.
What's this question?
The exact question is, what do you mean by oneness of God?
Oh, I think okay. I did not say oneness of God. I said oneness of creation. Right? So,
Yep.
Shashwat, can I request you, if you can, I don't know how many episodes you've seen, but if you can continue to come for this session for the next, we are on the 16th episode. We still have 8 episodes left. The next 8 episodes, just try and see every episode that we're going to show. And this is to all of you who are going to see. Take the God concept out of your mind. Just see it from the oneness of creation, right? Oneness of everything. You, me, everything is intertwined. That dog that you probably are throwing a stone at is intertwined to you. That tree that you're cutting is intertwined to you. You cut away every tree, you will not survive, right? So everything is intertwined. It's all oneness, right? So try and see the next few episodes with this message of oneness. Replace the God in your mind, because God is a very confusing element. Did humans create God or did God create humans? I mean, you'll never find an answer to this. And sometimes it feels humans. It is because humans want to have some kind of an unanswerable person who's taking care of their questions that they can't address, and so therefore the God concept is there. But then that God is different from you, and every spiritualist says that God is right within you. If it is right within me, that energy is right within me, then I am one system, right? So I think you need to step back. Today, I think we had a good discussion. I don't think, Shaswat, you will find an answer through my any verbiage that I say right now. You will not be convinced right now in one session. These are very conceptual things, and they require certain mindset. Start your journey. Start your journey by asking these questions. You will find your answer. I'm telling you. Trust me. You'll find your answer. Go back and just start searching for difference between monotheism and monism, and anchor on monism, anchor on this oneness. See all the episodes as not that we are talking about Nanak is talking about God. Nanak is talking about oneness of creation. And then you'll start understanding everything.
Yanant.
Sir, what was the aim of Guru Nanak ji?
Oh, I think Anand, I just addressed that right now. I just addressed that just a short while back. That do we have an aim when we take a breath? There are certain. So his aim, I think we can try and understand by saying that okay, he was wired to go on a journey to understand various traditions, various anthropological elements, various spiritual traditions, various philosophies. And unless you go to those places, you can't have a dialogue. Unless you to understand yourself, you have to understand the people around you. And that's what he was trying to do, right? But when he brought that wisdom down, he didn't keep it with him. He gave it. And that's what force. Unfortunately, that force is today boxed into a religion. But that's what happens with every seer. I mean, you guys have been studying about Buddha. Same thing happened with Buddha. Okay, I think we need to stop the questions now. We are coming to a point of repetition now.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone that you all have asked a lot of questions.
Your time today, but I'm glad that.
I'm glad there was so many
I
questions.
think class 6. Yeah. Okay, so I think we'll call it quits now. We are 12:30. So
right,
thank you everybody for joining, and thanks a lot, Amardeep. Yes, Sandeep.
Yeah, Amardeep, what you haven't realized that in the episodes 16 so far, we have transcended 3 generations of young people through My Good School. We started in 1 year when we had a set of students. We came the second year when we had another set of students, and now we are in 3 today. And that's why today's session is very interesting, because every year we get a fresh set of students and you get the questions. That's how today was exciting, because it is a new crop which has come to us, a new batch of young people that have come to us. And may batches keep coming every year. My only good wishes to everyone here. And thank you, Amardeep.
And I think, Sandeep, then what's important is, as these transitions are happening, is to park the source of the series with the students in some form of a note that encourages their parents to see it with them at some point of time. They all are seeing movies, and they all are seeing Netflix and Amazons, right? They could sit down and start seeing this series also with the kids whenever they have time. I think that's the message that should go to the parents through them, right? So that's
Absolutely.
what will be.
This should be the web series of go to. Go to the web series, thegurunanak.com. This is the web series you need, which you will carry with heart and soul all your life. Thank you, Amardeep. Over to you, Manisha and Jugjeet.
Thanks.
Thank you, Amardeep. Over to you, Manisha. I'm good.
This session was truly enriching. We explored meaningful passages, shared reflection. A special thank you to Amardeep sir for enlightening us with such depth and clarity. Thank you, sir. It was really it was actually a very good session. And today, for the first time, students of Sunbeam School and other schools have opened up and tried to understand what Guru Nanak is, his teachings. And we are grateful for Amardeep sir. We are really grateful for your time, wisdom, and the light you shared with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Manisha.
Okay, bye. See you next Sunday. Bye.
Bye, sir.